Hey guys, Richard here for Beyond College Success, and today's episode is a book review by Cal Newport, and it goes by the title How to Become a Straight A Student While You're in College. Now, I have a little confession to make that I wasn't a straight A student throughout my undergrad program. However, I did make some changes over the last year or so, and that has been making some massive difference to the way I approach some of the materials that I'm sharing with you guys here on this YouTube channel. So in this video, we're going to go into the book and some of my favorite ideas from it and some of the adjustments that I think you need to have in order to be able to get those straight A's and ultimately have a good college experience. All right, let's crack into it. All right, guys, let's go straight to the why of this video. Well, I do think that having a good study habits towards achieving a straight A's are all very important. But the reason why we want this for you here on this YouTube channel is so that you can go and focus on other aspects of your life in college. Because I do think that if you do not have your educational aspect or your studies or your study habits in place, then you always constantly going to be struggling to be able to do other things that college involves. And if you want to live that kind of playboy lifestyle in college, then you definitely need to be able to master your study skills so that you can create enough room and free time to be able to do other stuff. All right, with that said, let's go into the first point. So the first point Cal Newport talks about is the idea of passive learning versus active learning. So a lot of people in conventional college environment, they are doing this passive learning. And this passive learning is the fact that, first of all, when you're studying, your attention is really not on that task. And secondly, whenever you're reviewing your materials, you're reviewing it continuously, hoping that somehow the material is going to stick into your head. For example, the way you see this being done by students is, for example, maybe couple of hours or a couple of minutes before an exam, they are constantly reading through their materials to make sure that that information stays in their head. Well, that doesn't have to be the case. In fact, that's the most less productive way you could actually go about learning. Whereas when he talks about active learning is the ability to be able to understand your material, and it's pretty much an idea that is too big for this video to even talk about. But active learning is in itself is a way that you learn about the material such that you can teach it to somebody else, and once you have it ingrained in your mind, then you can produce it at any specific time. Also, it talks about the idea of passive learning, that is also a very hard and painful process that really takes a lot of time for you to master the material, and by simply rereading your notes over and over again, that doesn't really make it more useful to you. Let's go into number 2 points Cal Newport talks about here. The second point is the fact that we have pseudo workers and real workers. Pseudo workers are the people who are, at the same time they are studying, they are doing other miscellaneous activities that is constantly dividing their attention and diffusing it in so many ways. So they are not able to concentrate at the things or on the things that is at hand. Instead, they are kind of distributing their energy. The nice formula Cal Newport talks about is the fact that if you have time multiplied by intensity of focus, and the real key here is that you need to worry about your intensity of focus, and whenever you have a specific activity that you want to focus on that activity single-handedly, and you need to bump this guy up a little bit to be able to accomplish more work. So the formula is, to accomplish more, you need time, and then you need intensity, good intensity of work to be able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. And he also talks about the fact that most people do marathon sections. They think they want to study something, so they put in a lot of hours. That you don't need to do this. All you need to do is schedule certain period, and then you break it into little bursts, and that's a better way rather than going for 8 hours marathon section. That is not going to be very effective. And even if you do happen to have like 2 hours or 3 hours in there, that in an 8-hour section, that you're going to burn yourself out so quickly, and your tendency towards distraction is going to heighten. So you don't really want to do that. That's essentially the point. Number 3 idea here is my idea, and I think this is so foundational in any technical courses and maybe even not technical courses, is the fact that your first year second year of college, those are fundamental, right? Those are the foundational year, and you really want to use those years to build the foundation. I think first year as laying the foundation, second year as kind of building the walls, third year is about fitting in the doors and the windows, while fourth year it's about putting the roof, right? And if you approach your education like this, you have a way better time of actually succeeding. So for me, for example, when I came into college, I didn't focus on building my foundation in first semester, but I quickly realized that if I don't have a solid foundation, then fourth year is going to be hard. Yeah, I can't build a roof without a solid foundation, so to speak. And this is the same for your education. You won't be able to do the fundamentals because that's going to bleed over to what you do in fourth year. Do not think that for some reason first year is not going to be as important as relevant. They are all very important, critically very important. Number fourth big idea is procrastination. I think a lot of students think that they shouldn't be worried about procrastination. And there's a general talk in college where people say, oh yeah, I can't really tend to get work done. I'm just a procrastinator. And they believe this about themselves. Well, top 8 students, according to By Cal Newport, or the students he interviewed, is that most of these guys were saying that, listen, we don't have this all together most of the time, but we actually maintain some level and check on procrastination such that it doesn't become a problem or it doesn't become too destructive. I think the idea here is that, yes, there's going to be periods in your college experience whereby, or your education, whereby you feel like, that certain task, you're not really up for it, that you need to be very creative in what you want to do, or be creative to kick out or kickstart the momentum so that you can get into the work. I think the thought of it is usually the problem for most students. But I think my big idea, although Cal Newport gives several ideas on how to do this, I think the big idea I want to share here is that you need to be creative with this stuff and really figure out a way that you can help yourself minimize it. Maybe you might need to change location, but generally, no matter how much you love something to do, there's still going to come a point where, or some days where you don't feel like doing it, and those days you need to just get started and then you kick off the momentum to continue. Number 5th big idea Cal Newport talks about is to answer this question: where, when, and how long to study. I think if you answer these questions, that puts you in a good position to be able to kind of figure out what you need to do given every specific day, depending on how they differ. But the question about where is really where you want to study, right? Don't go to the library where you know things are going to be very noisy. You need to be able to move yourself away from that. So for example, when I was doing my master's, I had a very specific corner that I carved out for myself that pretty much nobody could get access to me very easily, right? It's a lab environment, and in the lab I had my corner covered and carved out, so it was very hard for people to come in and just distract me. So that was very powerful, and I was able to get a lot of work done. So that was my way. That place was very powerful, and even till today I still have my way where nobody can just interrupt me so readily, so to speak. And Cal Newport also talks about when are you studying. I always find that the early hours of the day are a very nice way to kick off the day, but make sure that you are doing your work mostly in the mornings. Now, this is not a hard rule, but what you want to avoid is constantly pulling off all-nighters and drinking lots of caffeine and just kind of suffering from all these chaotic experiences. And I don't want that for you. I want your college experience to be smooth. If you are going to pull in an all-nighter, don't make this a habit like most students do. And lastly, how long should you study? How long should you study? I always go by the principle of 60 to 90 minutes. Those are usually my time slots. And after then, I usually take a break. And I think when you are in the mood of something or you're not getting much done, I think there's a tendency to want to push it over and say, oh gosh, I can't believe I have to go take a break. But I do see my break as an opportunity for me to give myself a break and my mind a break. And I think that's probably should be your attitude towards your break as well. They are really kind of there to help you become more productive. And most of the time when I leave my station and go for a break and come back, usually ideas pop into my mind, right? And that's a lot more helpful. All right, guys, that's it for this video. My final remark is that yes, Cal Newport talks about this idea. The big issue here is how are you going to integrate some of these study habits in place. Now, my biggest idea here is that you need to be creative with this problem, and I can guarantee that if you are creative enough and you understand that some of your study habits is not really working for you, then you have a better chance of actually going about changing it. I think some people know that their study plans are not working for them, but they keep on doing it. And for that reason, they will keep getting the grades that they are getting, and they won't be able to explore all the dimensions that are required in college, right? And I don't want that to be the case for you. If you want to really get to the same conclusion and really master your study skills, then be creative. And I definitely recommend that you go and read that book in this that I'm reviewing right now. All right, that's it for this video. Subscribe to this channel if you like some of the content I'm putting out, and share this with a friend. All right, bye.